good afternoon or good morning on a Saturday morning. Hopefully you can hear me or see me. I'm going to switch over to some things on our stream. We are on Twitter and Facebook and I believe YouTube. So thank you for being with us this morning. Today is the third meeting of the federal programs meeting for Fort Stockton ISD. And I'm just typing good morning on the chats. So today I'm going to go over a few things with us for you guys, and we'll get this meeting started here shortly. Okay, so thank you again for being here with me this morning. I do appreciate it. I am going to go over some information about federal programs here in Fort Stockton ISD. Today is the final meeting of the 3 meetings that we're having. I am going to start. We have to conduct these meetings throughout, or at least yearly, to discuss federal programs that Fort Stockton ISD is a part of, and career and technology education, which is also part of the federal programs, and how parents, students, and schools can develop partnerships to ensure student success. Again, this is the third meeting of the 3, the final one. So thank you. It looks like we do have some people out there listening and watching, so we do appreciate that. This is an in-person meeting as well for anybody who wants to be here at the Technology Center, as well as online meeting links on YouTube, Facebook Live, and I believe on Twitter. So there is a Padlet there that is extremely important. I'm going to thank you, Rosemary, for listening in on it. We do appreciate you listening. It's been a while since we've done these things, so thank you for being out there and letting us know that you're out there listening. We do appreciate it. The annual federal programs meetings are a requirement through Title I Part A. And somebody asked me earlier, what is Title I, Title II, Title III? All those are terms given by the federal government by certain programs that they feel they're just titles of programs that impact schools, such as bilingual ESL, economically disadvantaged students, and so on. So they're just the way the government list those programs that help improve student outcomes in our schools. Fort Stockton ISD participates in Title I Part A because it is intended to improve student academics. And part of that program, as I start to explain all these things, is the right for parents to be involved in school programs and in decisions relating to the education of their children. Fort Stockton ISD has what we call district improvement plans, or a plan and campus improvement plans for each campus. It's basically a blueprint for focusing on improvement in our schools and safety, and how we interact with students to give them extra help, and as it impacts STAR and end of course exams. STAR is in grades 3 through 8, and high school you have end of course exams for 5 subjects: English 1, English 2, Algebra 1, Biology, and U.S. History. And then so the other idea within the federal programs is what we do to be efficient with our taxpayers' money that we get from taxes, as well as the federal government, which is also taxpayers' money as well. And so the other thing we try to do is to incorporate parent and family engagement as effectively as possible. The parent and the policy and compact is in our campus handbooks, which is on our website, as well as at the campuses. And so if parents want a copy of the parent compact or handbook, all they have to do is let their campuses know. We can get that to them. Within that compact and the parent involvement policy, elementary schools are required to have a parent-teacher conference every year at the beginning. We usually do it at the beginning of the year, right after the first report cards come out. So we do that at the elementary campuses in grades K through 5. The policy and compact addresses parent and family engagement, which means we have flexible meetings, different activities for parents, and then provide information to parents if they request it about the curriculum and assessment. Curriculum is what we have to teach, and always people ask, well, why do you have to teach certain things like food webs and Pythagorean theorem and things like that? We have to teach it because by law, there's laws out there that say we have to teach those things. And then the assessment is how we test what we taught. And the instruction is the part in the middle where the teachers give instruction from the curriculum that we're supposed to teach, and then we test it after we have taught that information to our students. I'm going to take this thing off right here. Hide it. Yay. Okay. Somebody asked me if I could take the banner off because it's kind of misleading. So I said, okay, no problem. We do have additional meetings with our parents anytime that a parent requests it. So again, the policy compact is just to provide parents with information about what is going on in their schools as it impacts their children. It is a written agreement to improve student learning, like we mentioned about curriculum and instruction to support their child's learning. The other aspect of it is as much communication between schools and home as we can, and then the importance of the family decisions and parents and students' education. The curriculum is basically, like I said, what we teach in schools, which is all geared to STAR, into course exams, and of course our local assessments, which is just local tests, and how students improve throughout the year. The whole goal is improving students' academics every year as we go through, and that is the whole goal that we try to do when it comes to learning in our schools in Fort Stockton and in all other schools across the state of Texas as well. We do have meetings to inform parents in the community, and we have information about the education of their children. We use social media a lot, so that way it gets to more people, so that people know what's going on in their community and our schools, regardless if you have students in schools or family members, what have you. But we do appreciate you because you're probably a taxpayer, and so we do appreciate your support in the schools. There's one part of the Title I Part A program that says we have to set aside a certain amount of money for parent and family engagement. And so we do that. And a lot of that money goes to paying for a parent liaison. We have Mrs. Estella Casas, who does an amazing job of just helping parents overall in our district with whatever aspects that they may not want to talk to us at the schools about. So she is a liaison between students, parents, and the schools if needed. Just to help benefit parents and see if there's some things that we can help them with that they may not want to share with us, or they may be embarrassed to share with us. A lot of times they think we're going to judge them by any means. We're not judging anybody. Our whole goal is to help students and help parents so that way we can provide the very best education for our students in Fort Stockton ISD. There's other parts to the federal programs where it says we have to give information to parents or community members about qualifications for our teachers. There's also a website that has that information. Parents have the right to know whose teachers are not fully certified in the state of Texas or in our schools. And so we do that with certain letters that are mailed home. And a lot of times it happens because there's a huge teacher shortage in Texas and the nation. It's been like that for a few years now. And so what happens is there is a system out there that came around, and it's called alternative certification programs. And so traditionally back in the day when a teacher wanted to be a teacher, they went to school, they student taught, they graduated, they took their test and they passed and they were a teacher. Now looking into the world of, there may be people out there who have a degree and can be amazing teachers. And so there have these alternative education programs that we have in the state of Texas and all over the country, where people can get into those programs, even if they did not go into teaching, but they get the skills and they get the knowledge and they get the training to be a teacher, and we're able to hire those people as well. And then they work towards gaining the knowledge and experience so that they can test and get their certifications in Texas to be a certified teacher. There's also some areas such as career and technology. For example, you may have a nurse who is an amazing teacher, an amazing nurse. She did not go to school to be a teacher, but because of her experience in our career technology classes, she's able to teach CNA classes for us, or pharmaceutical classes, what have you. So that's another route that we have that is allowed by the state of Texas to be able to bring the very best education for our students here in Fort Stockton ISD. In late spring, we do evaluate every aspect of our plans, but we have meetings such as this and committees, and we use different things just to figure out if we're doing what we feel is best with the community's input and parent input as well. and student input. Believe it or not, we have a lot of students who, like I said, the biggest question students always say is, why do I have to learn this, and why I'm never going to use this? And I'm like, I get it. Unfortunately, the state of Texas lawmakers say this is what we have to learn, and then we just tell them, look, it's not maybe in the sense of you're going to have to use this the rest of your life, but are you able to learn something new and then apply that knowledge? Because in the real world, whether they're working on job sites or in office buildings or wherever they're working or going to school, are they able to gain knowledge and then use that knowledge in a certain situation where they're at, whether it's a job or they're going back to school or whatever it is that they're doing, even at home, just things that they're able to apply knowledge that they have gained from that learning. This information here is a list of all the title programs. Again, title programs just basically says, hey, this is all the information, the programs that the government, the federal government, gives money for. This SCE is state compensatory. That comes from the state of Texas. These other ones are all federal funded programs that the government gives schools money because of certain things that are in place at their schools. I'll go over that here a little bit. The majority of our funds, as mentioned down here, provide for extra staffing to lower our classroom sizes here in Fort Stockton. There is another exception that is brand new, and it's all COVID-19 related, and it's the ESSER 1, 2, and 3 funds that we are still, I think for the most part, we got all the guidance that we have on those monies that we get, although I will tell you that it changes all the time. And so we deal with that with the federal government and do our very best that we can to provide the education that we need for our students. Title I Part A is basic programs improving the entire educational program, especially targeting the lowest achieving students by having instructional methods and effective methods that help them to be better and succeed in our schools. Title I Part C is migrant services. Basically, we serve migrant students in our schools. Not a lot, but we do service them here in our Fort Stockton. And the whole idea is to transition them into graduating high school and to be able to succeed in school and further in life. Title II Part A, again, is just another subset of the federal programs that just basically says how we can improve the quality and effectiveness of teachers and support our teachers. We all know that teachers are the number one aspect of students' learning and student achievement. So we know that if we can improve on teacher instruction, improve on their practices, that students will ultimately gain much more knowledge and more experience and be able to be much more successful in life and in their classes. And so that's that part of the money from the federal government that we target. There is a Title III Part A, which targets English language learners and immigrant students. And it's basically any students who are struggling with the English language as their primary language. So we do receive some federal funds to help those students as well. A lot of times you would call them bilingual students or ESL students. And so the terms for those students always changes throughout the years, depending on a legislator decides to change the name of those students. But basically, it's anybody struggling with the English language in their academics in school. Title V Part A is student support for academic enrichment. Again, this just basically says, hey, how can we improve enrichment of our schools in Fort Stockton? So we get that money. And again, the majority of this money is targeted to lower classroom sizes by being able to hire additional staff members from what we already had. And just to keep our classroom sizes smaller so that there's a smaller teacher-student ratio that we can be able to impact to help that teacher be able to address much more targeted instruction in our classrooms. And again, that goes to, there's terms in there when we talk about, as I mentioned, we hire more teachers to supplement what we already have. And so that is the whole aspect of the Title V Part A program, is to just be able to do a little more of what you were already doing. Rural Education Initiative, or REAP, Title V, basically says that because we live in a rural area, we get a little bit more money to give opportunities to our students that they may not be able to get if they live in the bigger city. And so we get a little bit more money to help with that as well. Now, this is the state part of it, the state compensatory education program. It's basically help students do better and perform better, especially those who are at risk, and reduce their the dropout rate. State compensatory education (SCE) was not event. There's like 14 different aspects of at risk. First of all, if they didn't go to the next grade level, if they have failed a grade, grades 7 through 12, they did not perform well on the STAR test. If they did not perform on certain tests that really aren't state tests, but in grades 1 through 3, readiness tests, if a student's pregnant, if they've been in an alternative education program, if they've been expelled, if they've been on parole, probation, anything to do with the law, if they dropped out of school one time, if a student is limited English proficient, if they've been part of a situation with Department of CPS, if a student is homeless, if they've been placed in a residential facility or has been in jail or juvenile probation, and or their parent has been in jail or in juvenile probation as well. This next part is the CTE information that are part of our schools that we have to report. And so this information here just basically says there are different indicators that the state of Texas grades our schools. And so the CTE learners, basically, so here's the first information I'm going to go over. The 4-year graduation rate for students who are in current technology. The statewide information is 97, have a 97% graduation rate for the statewide average. The district is at 99%. The extended year graduation rate, what that basically says is that there may be kids who did not graduate this year, but do they graduate next year? And so the statewide average is 98. We're at 97. And then the next three are proficiencies in reading, math, and science. Now, this information is based on last year's STAR test. And so last year's STAR test, our students did struggle a little bit, mainly because of the setting that we were in, where some kids were at home, some kids were at school. And so it is a little bit lower for the information last year. This year, our scores have improved quite a bit. And that's a attestation to our wonderful teachers and parents for their support and having kids in school. And then post-program placement basically says, if kids get in some type of current technology program, do they go outside of after graduation? What do they do afterwards that is pertaining to what they learned in school? For example, we have a lot of students who are in the CNA program. Do they go out and get a job and they work in the workforce with their CNA? So things like that is what we get graded on. Non-traditional program concentration. What that means is it's kind of funny, but the state will grade the schools on, do you have girls in auto tech classes? Do you have girls in welding classes? Do you have girls in woodshop classes that are traditionally male concentrated classes? And then vice versa. Do you have boys who are doing home economics or family consumer science? So believe it or not, we get graded on that. And so we have to show that we are doing our very best to be equitable when it comes to students in different programs in our schools. The other thing is attain recognized program quality. Again, that has to do with our students being able to do well in our classes. And then the CTE completer, once you have a student within the program, do they complete a series of classes that the state deems them to be a completer in their current technology classes, or career and technology program. This next slide is just a overall representation of this data right here. That's all it is. And so I'm not going to go over that. This next part says, do the current technology students, how do they do compared to students who are not in current technology? Now, I will tell you that for the most part, probably 70 to 80% of our students in high school are in some type of career technology, if not even a higher percentage in a career technology class. So it basically says that those students do a better job when it comes to the indicators of these indicators right here. So that's good for us. And we know that current technology here in Fort Stockton, that our students do a better job whenever they're involved in those sorts of things to help them in their academics. This next slide just basically says that in Fort Stockton High School, the majority of where our students fit when it comes to current technology classes in the clusters, we have majority in business and health sciences with some human services. architecture and construction, going all the way down to law and public service. And so our students, our CTE learners, have all these different career clusters that they're involved in at Fort Stockton High School, and those are the amounts that we are, the amount of student learners in those programs at Fort Stockton High School in our district. This next website I'm going to show you is the Texas Workforce Commission, and so I'm going to switch slides here. Oh, well, first of all, let me do this. At the very beginning, there's a link, I believe, and I can put it in the chat. I'm not too sure if it comes up on the chat or if it comes up on the page itself, but there is a Padlet with information, and so here's the information here. This is the sign-in sheet. I do ask that if you're out there, you just click on that sign-in sheet there to fill in some information. This next form here is just a survey input and career technology. And then these next two websites here is just where we post this meeting, virtual meeting. It's on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and I also believe it's on Twitter. And then these are some resources. And so the first resource that I want to show you is the Texas Workforce Commission website. I will tell you, this is a very comprehensive website. It's got a lot of information on there. Now, there's some things on here that pertain to schools when it comes to how we help students with their careers. This first part is job seekers and employers, and then career exploration and trends. And then down here, there is emerging and evolving occupations, okay? So on this website, there is Texas labor market information over here. Now, you can click on these reports and see where people in Texas are needing there to be jobs in the future. And so I've already pulled some of that information here. So I'm going to show you in Texas overall, in the next from 2018 to 2028, and probably going into 2038, this is the predictions of occupational trends in Texas, where Texas feels they have state demographers that collect a bunch of data to figure out what it is Texas is going to need when it comes to the job market. So if you notice, registered nurses are first, general operation managers, and you can click on these and it gives you a lot of information about what nurses have to do. There's videos, employment outlook, just a whole lot of information to help people figure out what it is they need to do, explore education, careers, to get into the occupation. And you can go all the way down there. I'm surprised Loris is on there, number 13, but I guess it is. It's above electricians and construction managers, carpenters, welders, cutters, all that. Middle school teachers are there. Secondary special education teachers are there as well. You can also go into different regions. For example, let's just say you live in our region, PremiumBased. It does change just a little bit. Some of the information there is about the same. But since we live in the oil energy aspect part of the state, a lot of those jobs will relate to the oil field or energy industry. I also downloaded the report from the Texas Workforce Commission website. And if you notice, this information here basically says the growth rate for jobs in our area. The number one growth rate that we're going to have, the number one job that is going to be needed the most in Permian Basin within the next 10 years is fast food and counter workers and heavy truck and tractor trailer drivers, retail people, waiters, waitresses, cashiers, and so on and so on. And somebody said, well, where are the teachers? Well, here's how it's kind of crazy how they divide this up. But in the next 20 years, it looks like teachers, it divides them up by elementary teachers, substitute teachers, secondary teachers, middle school, so on and so on. So if you count all these right here, we'll have about 800 positions needed. I think it's a lot more than that. Just especially if you increase in population, you got to have more teachers, you got to have more police officers, you got to have more medical people in the field being able to take care of sick people and what have you. The thing that the Texas Education Agency, as well as the state of Texas, want is they want students to get into high growth rate jobs that pay really well. Okay, so I'm going to go back and show you what I'm talking about. So this here is the website that has the data. I'm sorry, this is the data that I got from the website of the Texas Workforce Commission. This green button. Just this green number here just basically says there's going to be a lot of need for these fast food and counter workers, although the wages aren't that great for them, you know. So it's high growth but low pay. This is low growth but high pay for heavy tractor and trailer truck drivers, and then service unit operator, oil and gas. It's a high growth rate and a high pay. The number here is just what the government feels is high pay, and I want to say it's anywhere between $40,000 a year. So you can go down there. I did put a link on right here where it has resources on that Padlet. So if you want to go to them, there is the career trends that I showed you over here, right there. And so that being said, let me go back to the slideshow. Thank you for being patient with me. That's the website that I showed you a minute ago. This just shows that we're in District 11 when it comes to PremiumBased and workforce development. And so these are all the workforce development areas in Texas. And so you notice number 11, where it's pretty big. It does include going all the way up to maybe Andrews, Lamesa, and it goes down to Terrell County and to Reeves County. It does not include Brewster, though. This is a current technology CLNA vocational input form. I ask that you can fill that out. If you have any questions about anything going on in your schools, the best thing to do is to contact the schools. These are the numbers there. A lot of times people always wonder, well, how do I get into the schools and this and that? Now, sometimes there's meetings going on and there may not be somebody answering the phone. If that's the case, call another school and say, hey, I'm trying to get a hold of somebody at the school, but nobody's answering. They can tell you, hey, they're having a meeting or what have you. And so this here is information on the campus contacts. They are the principals. We have Karina Pacheco at Apache, Linda Chavez at Alamo, Julian Castillo at Intermediate, Sammy Solis at Middle School. Right now, Roy Alvarado is the high school principal, but he will be taking a new role in the district as an assistant superintendent of schools as well. And so we'll have a new principal coming in. Mr. Wallace will be coming in sometime in June. So we'll change that information once we get him on board here at Fort Stockton ISD. We'll welcome him. And we also congratulate Mr. Solis and Mr. Castillo on their new jobs at their campuses here in Fort Stockton. So that being said, that is the information there. Now, somebody asked me a question Thursday, and then Mr. Blanco has also asked us another question, something to think about. What else has locked doors and security? Also told when to eat, take breaks, etc. Jails and prisons. I don't know I guess I don't read, not too familiar what his question is, but I am going to go answer a few things here in reference to this question right here. Safety at a school, parent concern. Parent typed that in there. He says, hey, I'm really concerned about the safety of our children at schools here in Fort Stockton. As we know, all the shootings around the state, we have community devastated, really concerned how we can secure our schools, and really appreciate what we can responses in regards to school security and prevention plans for kids' safety. Now, I'm going to switch over here. The first thing I want, people sometimes think that it's an issue like schools versus parents or schools versus kids, but I will tell you that myself, I have kids in schools here in Fort Stockton. Many teachers and principals and administrators have kids either in schools or went to these schools. And the kids in our schools are our kids, whether they're personally our kids or our kids from their being the kids in our schools. So we have the same concerns and fears at times for the safety of our children. Things have changed throughout the last 20 years. And so there's a lot of things that are in place when it comes to the safety of our children. And so I just want people to understand, your children are our children, and my kids and all these other teachers, administrators, workers, their kids go to the same schools. We all have the same concerns, just like everybody else in America, just like everybody here in Fort Stockton. So I am going to go over a little bit of information when it comes to student safety. Every year, about 2 or 3 times a year, we have a safety and security committee meetings that we go over certain things about the schools. The other thing that a lot of people don't understand is that we have what's called emergency operation plans. And people are like, well, what are those? And how come we don't know about it? Emergency operation plans are basically how we keep kids safe, and it is a blueprint of maintaining safety in our schools. And it's got a lot of important information, critical information, that if it got into the wrong hands, it could be very devastating for our district. The police officers, the law enforcement agencies have that information. We have meetings and we discuss things, whether it's the sheriff with Mr. Perkins, who is here. He works with us. We have Mr. Lujan, who also works with us. We work with Sergeant Kobe Jones as well when it comes to certain things in the district, as well as the Texas Ranger LaSoya. We also have partnerships with the Border Patrol agents, and so we do many things to keep our kids safe. So I'm going to go over some things when it comes to the aspects of safety that a lot of people don't know, although we do them. Okay, so this is a PowerPoint that I do for the district 2 or 3 times a year, that we have to discuss and go over certain things that we have in the district. Now, when we talk about student safety, it's a lot of other things, not just student safety. There's some things in there about COVID-19 and the spread of that. And so I'm just going to go over a few things here. I am going to leave this slide over here so I can kind of figure out which slides I need to go by. And so I'm going to share my screen. Let's see here. I think I am right there. Okay. So this is the PowerPoint slide that we go over. The last time we met was in December. We'll be meeting again either next week or the following week. We do this once a semester just to go over things. We have a committee of different people who attend these meetings. It's board members, EMS, fire, police, DPS, sheriff's office, people from the hospital, just different people who have every aspect of safety when it comes to schools in Fort Stockton. So we do have a safety committee, and they provide recommendations, advice. They consult. They basically give us ideas. It's city, county, local police, law enforcement, DPS, school representatives, superintendent, and their designees, board members. Like I said, the last time we did meet was in December. We'll be meeting in either next week or the week after, depending on people's schedules. And some of the things that we go over are the mandatory drills. The one thing that we did do in Fort Stockton that's a little bit different that was never done before is we went to a unified system of how we tell students to lock out in their building, lock down, evacuate, or shelter. And so we go over that. It's just a unified system. So we're all talking the same language when it comes to certain situations. And so there's just part of the information that we educate our staff about and our students. If you've ever been in school, you may see some of these posters all in our buildings just to kind of remind people what to do. A lot of times when it's an emergency situation, they kind of forget what they have to do. And so that's just information that is from those posters that we go over. There is also a threat assessment team, all right? There's a team of individuals within Fort Stockton ISD that have to meet. We've been trained on assessing if there is a threat, a credible threat in Fort Stockton at one of our schools, whether it's a online threat, whether it is a threat, a physical, verbal threat, face-to-face. But there's different people who've been trained through the Texas School Safety Center, myself as well, where we go out, and if there is a credible threat that a campus is wanting us to know, we look into it and we try to figure out if it is a credible threat, and then we make decisions right then and there with the police involved. Our school SROs are involved, different the sheriff's office is involved, DPS is involved if we need them. So we work together to provide the safety to figure out what it is that we need to keep our kids safe. Now, I will tell you, where do those credible threats come from? With the information we get from parents, students. So if you see something, say something. That is the number one thing. A lot of times we don't know what kids are doing. We don't know what's going on out there, but parents may know, kids may know. So we say, hey, if you see something, say something. Let us know. Let us know what's going on. Let us know what we can figure out. And so we use that information to decide what we need to do and take actions as quickly as possible to be able to maintain safety in our schools. Those teams, again, report if there's any issues that come up, any imminent threats of emergency or danger. And we share much information with the law enforcement agencies so that we can provide the very best safety for our students. We work hand in hand with the city of Fort Stockton, the Pecos County Sheriff's Office, DPS, even certain other law enforcement agencies that come in and work with us to provide the best safety for our students and staff. The thing about it we have to be mindful of is there's some health and safety issues when it comes to a FERPA. We have to protect information. A lot of people, because people always want to know things, but we have to be very careful what we inform our community about. We have bomb threat parental notifications. We have to provide parents with information about bombs if we get a bomb threat. There's a lot of training that our staff does, a lot. And the thing about it is this, is people always say, well, what are you doing? Well, we're providing training with things. We provide training on mental health and substance abuse, sexual abuse, human trafficking, traumatic injury responses, bleed control stations, cybersecurity. COVID-19 was a big thing here recently. We also provide a lot of training with our attorneys. Slip, trips, and falls, dating violence, school emergencies is in there. That is a big thing right now. And then CPR, bullying prevention, youth suicide, tabletop exercises. Believe it or not, we have campus exercises where we put a scenario with our staff and we say, okay, this is happening. This is what we know. These are the situations, and what can we consider to do? And then what are our actions when it comes to that situation? An example of a tabletop exercise would be, we have an estranged spouse who shows up to the school who's upset at their spouse and wants to fight with a gun or knife. And what do you do? Or what do you do if a student says, hey, I think somebody has a gun, I think somebody has a bomb? What do you do in that situation? So we have tabletop exercises that we practice within our staff meetings throughout the year to just practice. Now, a lot of that comes from well, if you ever talk to pilots who have crash landed jets or airplanes, they will tell you that the reason why they survive those situations and handle those situations well is because they practice it over and over in the head, different situations. There is so many different situations that our schools have to deal with. And so those tabletop exercises just give us a little bit of out of how we think things through in case situations do happen. Okay. Safety measures in place. Like I said, we do have emergency operations plans in place. We did submit that information to the Texas School Safety Center last year. They were all approved. And like I said, the plans include a lot of information about maps, reunification systems. If we do have a situation at the schools, how we reunify kids to their parents. We have school resource officers. We have mass communication systems, the impact of social media. Germ Blast is more for COVID-19 and things like that. We also have a 911 texting to emergency services. We have Code Red, CopSync, Keep and Track, safety audits. We just completed our safety audit with Region 18 this past spring. CopSync is one of the major things that we've used in our school district to help keep our students safe and our staff safe. Every staff member in our buildings can talk to the police instantaneously. And when that happens, every other employee in the district knows about that chat, including every police officer, deputy, anybody who has CopSync in their cars. I know Pecos County Sheriff's Office does, Fort Stockton PD, there may be Border Patrol, DPS. They're able to see the information as we're typing live. So let's just say there's a situation at the intermediate school in room 2. When that teacher hits room 2, or let's just say it's a neighboring classroom and says, you know what, there's a commotion going on. I hear a lot of fighting and noises. They get on, they start chatting, they start talking. It syncs to every law enforcement agent, not only in Pecos County, but some surrounding counties as well. And so we're able to talk to people as quickly, instantaneously, live, letting information know what's going on. And then it gives information to the other schools as well to maybe have to be put on lockdown, to keep our doors shut, to keep everything locked up. I would tell you that we struggle sometimes because students, sometimes they don't know what's going on. And so teachers are held to a standard of like not only teaching kids, but keeping kids safe in a learning environment. That way they can learn and just be safe, So That is something that is a great tool. We've practiced that tool. Every now and then a kid will hit that button on one of our teachers' computers, and within seconds we have PD, DPS, deputies, other law enforcement agencies who are en route to that school and chatting with the school, trying to figure out what's going on. We do tests in that system as well throughout the year to give live information and live feedback as it is happening. All right. So that is that. CopSync is a great tool that we use in our schools. The other thing that we have resources from the Texas School Safety Center. Our reunification system does use a double gate system. That's just a way of keeping track that we get the right kid to the right parents if we have to. We provide memorandum of understandings. We work with Joe Schuster at the county and different churches that if we have to take kids off campus to another area that is close to our schools, we do that as well. We have cameras. We've secured our doors in our buildings at the front of our buildings, so that way we have a push button system that we allow people to come in. We have anonymous bullying reports, an iWatch Texas app, which is an app by the state of Texas that anybody in the world can report anything they want. If they feel that a certain school is in danger for whatever reason, it gets to the right law enforcement agencies. They work with us to help see what's going on and keep students safe. We also use our social media accounts as well. There's more safety measures in place. Like I said, we have our system ID check. We're open to law enforcement. Any law enforcement agent that wants to come to our schools, walk our halls, they are more than welcome to do that. We always encourage that. We even, if law enforcement agents want to come in and eat breakfast with students, want to eat lunch with students, we pay for their meals. Fort Stockton ISD, Mrs. Gomez and the board has graciously said, hey, if those people are in our buildings, they want to eat with our kids, let them. We contract with a company that does dog searches, and that those dogs not only find drugs, but they find alcohol, drugs, medications, guns, bullets, fireworks, gunpowder. And so we contract with those people that come in randomly. And so we use them as well as a deterrent. We've improved some of the lighting in our schools, parking, and then just a positive interaction with our police, law enforcement agencies, including the sheriff's office, DPS, and the PD, the Fort Stockton PD. Continuity of operations, that has to do with COVID-19 in case something goes wrong in our schools. That just says, you still have to function as a school. That's not really what I want to talk about today, but it basically says we do have a plan in place in case we have to shut down the schools, and in case people who are in schools that have to make decisions are sick. It's just a continuity of how you continue, which continuity not only does that affect with COVID-19, but let's just say there was a situation and there's people out there that have to make decisions. We have a plan that says who is going to make decisions for the school if somebody is not there, whether it's a superintendent, myself, the business manager, principals. There's a level of what we have to do in case decisions have to be made. In our operation plans, it's in there as well. What decisions have to be made in a timely manner to be able to do the things that we need to do to keep our kids safe. We use local systems to help figure out what it is we need to do. Let's see what else that may relate to that. I think that most of this stuff has to do with keeping students safe. We have these posters posted now. I know it's a law, since we have to do that. They are posted in our district, but again, we also know that sometimes if people feel that they want to do something in our schools, we have certain things in place that will provide the best. I'm going to go ahead and switch over so you can see me. Right here. Okay, good. Yay. Okay, so we are going to have another safety and security meeting probably next week or the week after with the same individuals, going out there to see what is it we can do to provide the safety for our students and our staff and our community. I would tell you our emergency operations plans are pretty thick. They're anywhere between 70 to 100 pages of just describing different things, different scenarios, what we do in different situations. What are our resources on our campus? Do we have individuals who are ex-military? Do we have individuals who can speak Spanish? Do we have individuals who have outdoor expertise in whatever it is. And so there's a lot of things that come in place when it comes to the safety of our kids. And so we have done some things in our school district to help keep our kids be safe, keep our staff to be safe. And so every day, every year, we look at things to improve on what we can do to keep our kids safe and teach them. We are in the education business. We're in the people business. And we also know that the kids' safety is of utmost importance. Our staff safety is of utmost importance. And a lot of times, safety is inconvenient. For example, why do we have to have TSA? Why do we, at the airports, why do we have to swab our hands if we get checked? Why do we have to go through the screeners and the x-ray machines and things like that? It's for safety. The thing about it is sometimes safety is inconvenient for people. I'll give you an example. We have pep rallies at the high school. We allow everybody to come into that building, put all the kids in a room, and if we don't check people as they're coming in, so that's things that scare us the most, things like that situation. But people love pep rallies and we want to be normal. And I get that, Luckily, we have a lot of great police presence when it comes to our events in our schools. And shout out to the DPS, the county, the PD, the Border Patrol, anybody who wants to come in our schools, who is a law enforcement agent. We always welcome them. Always interact with kids, interact with people. The other thing that we do is that we encourage people to let us know what's going on. If they think something may be kind of fishy or a problem, let us know. That's the only way we can make things better. We have to know. And a lot of times we don't know. But if you see something, say something. We encourage you to do that. Sorry about my glasses. Something happened when I turned 45. I had trouble seeing, so I have to use reading glasses. So that being said, I don't see any more questions. Thank you, Mr. Blanco, for asking that question. I hope I answered some of your question. This is jails and prisons. Only thing I can say is this about jails and prisons, because I had a parent call me and said, you're going to have to turn schools into jails or prisons. My thing is this: no one's breaking into jails and prisons. You know why? They're probably the most secure facilities in America. And they're super protected. And in our schools, it's a little bit different. And remember, safety is inconvenient. And how much are we willing to deal as a community to be inconvenient at the safety? Now, I get it. Safety is important. My kids are there. Your kids are there. And so we do our very best to keep our kids safe and learning. So, again, thank you, Nacho, for shouting out. And thank you, Rosemary. We appreciate you supporting our schools, and we appreciate everybody else supporting our schools. It's been a long meeting. This is probably the longest one, probably because of the safety issue involved. But again, if you have any questions or concerns, please call one of the schools and let them know what your concerns are. That's how we know. Okay. That being said, it has been about 49 minutes. It is 10:49. You guys have an amazing Saturday and an amazing rest of your summer. We do have summer school starting this June 1st through the 30th. Starts on Wednesday. It is from 8 to 12, Monday through Thursday. We are also feeding students in our summer schools and doing community feeding as well. We'll be posting a lot of information in this coming week about summer feeding with Mr. Casillas and all his wonderful people. And we'll put some other information out there about summer school. And other than that, you guys have a great Saturday. Thank you. Be safe and take care.